Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another episode or podcast of MuslimFin. I think this is our second podcast of our podcast series, and today we're going to chat about the differences between a Sharia banking account or an Islamic banking account and a traditional banking account. In studio tonight we have Siraj Buzik, our Mufti of Islamic Banking, and Ali Salih, Wealth Manager by trade. They are two of the members of the MuslimFin team, and they're going to take us through a few of these questions. Before I go ahead, perhaps I can quickly ask the guys, how are you guys today? What's happening on you guys' side?
Alhamdulillah, Shabim. We're happy to be here. It's Women's Day, so we treated the wives today. Alhamdulillah, I hope you guys did the same thing. But yeah, I'm quite chill. Looking forward to this podcast. I think there's a couple of good questions that we'll probably tackle. And hopefully we can add some value and benefit to our viewers, inshallah.
Yeah, and my side also, Shukran for allowing us to be here. I also celebrated Women's Day today with my wife and my daughters. And you know, in days like this, we think of our mothers. And alhamdulillah, excited to be dealing with some of the questions around money, which is something that women also like to spend.
Yeah, that's quite true. Eh? So welcome, guys. And I'll head straight into the questions. The questions that I have here are questions that are quite topical. It's questions that quite a few people out there are raising, and hopefully you guys can take us through some details of these questions. So one of the first ones that always surfaces is the differences between a normal banking account or a current account and a Sharia banking account. Siraj, perhaps you can elaborate on that and give us a bit more detail on the differences between the two.
Yeah, no, 100% Shamim. I think those are one of the common questions we do get is, look, you get an Islamic account and you get a conventional account, but what is the main difference between the two? So, I mean, just as a broad definition, Islamic accounts, obviously they operate in accordance with the Islamic principles. And that also means avoiding elements such as interest and forbidden activities as well. Islamic accounts also, there's no concept of earning or paying interest. So instead, the bank operates on a profit-sharing model or offers a Sharia-compliant services. One of the other points also with the Islamic accounts is that the banks utilize what we call profit-sharing mechanisms. And that's where the bank uses the funds deposited by the account holders for Sharia-compliant activities. So profits generated from these activities are then shared, with the account holders based on a predetermined profit-sharing ratio. One of the other important things to note also is it's risk sharing within Islamic banking. So with risk sharing, and that's what makes it Islamic, is that account holders, they also share in the risk of the investments made by the bank. So if the bank faces losses, the account holders may also experience or decrease in their funds. But just as well as the bank makes money, the account holders will also benefit from that money as well. And then also transparency is key to Islamic banking. So Islamic banks are required to be transparent, about the operations, and they have to disclose these type of activities when they invest as well.
Okay, quite interesting, Siraj.
And if I could add to that, the one thing that I also want to mention, for people watching this and saying, okay, well, if I were to convert my conventional bank account to an Islamic bank account, well, what does that mean and what does that look like? Does that mean that I'm going to earn less money, interest versus profit share? And from a South African perspective, what we can say is that if you do a comparison between a Sharia-compliant bank account versus the conventional bank account, in terms of savings and profit share and interest, if you do those comparisons, you'll find that they are on par. And so from the perspective of wondering whether you're going to be making less money or getting less of a return, and in certain cases, to Muslim people, that shouldn't be something that we really concerned about, because obviously interest is something that we can't spend or use. Here's an opportunity for us to, earn profit share instead of interest. But if you were to do a comparison and say, well, am I making less money or not? actually they on par. Banks with Sharia compliant or Islamic windows now offer exactly the same rates, or basically very similar rates to what you would get on the conventional side.
And tell me, is Islamic banking accounts only for Muslim people, or is it open to every individual or everyone out there?
So Islamic banks and the Islamic banking industry, it was started to cater for the needs of Muslims, but it's not only for Muslims. Anybody can actually apply for an Islamic account. You don't have to be Muslim. And I think it comes back to what people believe in. If they think about Islamic banking being ethical, not wanting to invest their money in activities that they're not comfortable with, whether it be gambling activities, whether it be investing in alcohol, the alcohol industry, things like that. So from an Islamic banking perspective, those are the things that we don't invest in, where the money is not allowed to be in. And we do have people of other religions who also believe that those type of things are not ethical. And that's the reason why, from an Islamic banking perspective, anybody can actually open an Islamic bank account, whether you're Muslim or non-Muslim. And just to touch on what Ali mentioned earlier, I think looking at the South African market, what you will see in the market is that what conventional banks have done, and we talk about these banks having Islamic windows. It's where a conventional institution offers Sharia-compliant products. So you will see, these big banks offer Islamic products. And what they've really done was they've taken what you can get in the market from a conventional perspective, whether it be a check account, whether it be a savings account. And what they've done was try to offer the Sharia-compliant alternative to that. So now you're getting a check account, you're getting an Islamic check account. And the nice thing is, and Alice mentioned and touched on this point, is that, from a service point of view, you're getting the same service. From a fee structure, you're paying exactly the same what you would be paying on a conventional account. So it's not more expensive to bank Islamically. You're getting the same services, you're getting the same benefits at what you would have gotten in a conventional account. Just that from, in the back end, these Sharia compliant or Islamic institutions ensure that your monies are managed from a Sharia perspective. So again, your monies won't be invested in alcohol activities or in the gambling activities. There's no interest involved. So, you can probably sleep better at night. But again, from a banking perspective, you get all those benefits and services that you would have gotten from a conventional bank account.
And if I were to add on the religious perspective, obviously Sharia investments or banking are for all religions. And what we find within the industry is that a lot of churches and a lot of various denominations come to the Islamic bank and say, okay, well, we like the idea of not earning interest, because through a lot of religious texts, even within the Bible, and look, I'm not a scholar in any way, or I'm not necessarily an expert in biblical studies, but of some of the things that I do know is that in certain cases within different religions, interest is also not allowed. And so you'll find that religious institutions will also say, okay, well, we actually want to establish business banking accounts and invest our money or deposit our money and earn profit share instead of interest. So it's quite an interesting question. It's something that we find very interesting because if you take Malaysia, for example, which is a predominantly Muslim country, and you look, I've been to a few investment conferences where some scholars from Malaysia and banking experts from Malaysia have had some input, and I've listened to a few of the lectures. And what they're saying is that the take-up of Islamic banking solutions are predominantly done by non-Muslims in an Islamic majority country. Now, this was a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if the statistics are still the same. And that's something that I might have to look back into. But I find it very interesting, and I find your question very interesting, Shamim, because what it seems to me is that non-Muslims are taking up the Sharia banking and Sharia solutions more than the Muslims are currently.
Yeah, it is quite an interesting one, and good food for thought there. And considering what you're mentioning, it's going directly into one of the other questions that I have was, we spoke about the fact that the account is available for individuals, but is this offering for businesses as well, for entities and other type of entities that are trading, whether it's in a trading entity and operating or a propco type of scenario?
Yeah, no, 100% sure. So Islamic banking has come a long way. I think when Islamic banking started out, they introduced products, as time passed. But looking at the market today, we can almost offer, or well, the Islamic institutions are almost offering whatever you can get from a conventional institution in terms of banking. There is a Sharia compliant alternative. So again, speaking to your question on whether you can get a Islamic check account is it only in the personal capacity, but these products are available for businesses and other entities as well. So you can have an Islamic business check account as well. There are Islamic business investments and savings accounts as well. So again, we're almost at the point where, where you can actually bank fully or holistically Islamic and get still all the benefits that you would have gotten from a bank, whether it be getting a banker, whether it be fees, and just getting those benefits from the bank. So again, definitely you do get those products in the business capacity as well, and other trading entities, whether it be trusts, etc.
And I think that could possibly be one of the, sorry, Ali, you want to go ahead?
No, proceed.
I think that was possibly one of the other things that I picked was that you would often think that because it's a different type of account, you would be limited to certain of the banking functionalities, benefits, and features. But gathering from what you're saying is that all of these features and benefits are available. It just sits in a different house within the bank. Am I on the right path, Siraj?
Correct, Shamim. So I think this is also why Islamic windows are quite important in a country that's predominantly non-Muslim. So you have this banking system that's quite established, and you have this established infrastructure. So, it's much easier to introduce an Islamic product through these conventional institutions so that we can then latch onto this existing and sophisticated infrastructure. So whether you're talking about ATMs, whether you're talking about branches, whether you're talking about bankers, whether you're talking about the type of services offered by these institutions that has already been established in the market for years. Now, you can now bank Islamically and still have access to all those services. Now, we're not saying that, you don't get the services from your standalone Islamic institutions. So there are fully fledged Islamic banks that also offer these services. But again, I think it's probably quicker to introduce this into the market from an Islamic window perspective. But again, as time goes by, as innovation takes place, banks are providing Sharia compliant solutions at quite a quick rate. Bring it to the market quite quicker. And again, our Muslims are quite fortunate in the sense that, we're not restricted in any way. We're not 100% there. There are products that are not available to our Muslims. For example, currently in the South African market, we don't have what we call a Sharia compliant overdraft facility. But it is something that I do believe the banks are working on, and that's quite interesting. We're looking forward to something like that coming to our market. And then also something like a credit card. We don't have a credit card. So in essence, probably those are the two main restrictions from an Islamic banking perspective, but there are other products that caters, to these. So from a financing aspect, so when clients do require credit, and it's normally either to make purchases, to buy stock from a business capacity. The banks do have solutions to cater to those. So whether it be trade finance, whether it be asset finance from a Sharia perspective, we have those available. But yeah, so I do believe in the upcoming years we will have, we will be in a place where we'll be able to offer everything that the conventional banks are offering, but from a Sharia compliant perspective.
And just to add to that, to add to that, Shamim, what I was going to say is that, from South African perspective, we have to also remember that South Africa as a country within the context of Africa is one of the financial hubs of the continent. And the amount of money that flows into the country, in and out of the country internationally is It's massive amounts. And in order for that to happen, the structures have to be in place. And like Siraj mentioned, the structures have been in place for in certain cases, hundreds, maybe 100 or more years for certain banking institutions. And there's a lot of competition. And there's more and more competition coming into the markets. More financial institutions are either doing banking, or banking institutions are starting to do investments and financial planning, right? And so providing clients with that holistic kind of approach of being able to solve for clients' needs. Now, if you have a preference, or you want to bank with Islamic or religious convictions, these financial institutions will now have to start catering for Muslims. So those products that Siraj spoke about in terms of overdrafts and credit cards, something that we're quite keen to see coming into the market, and quite excited about, because what that will do is make that holistic offering a lot more, a lot easier, and a lot more, lot easier for clients and people, or specifically Muslim people, to understand, because those are the things that we are familiar with. So from a business perspective, to have all of those systems in place, in terms of what you mentioned, Shamim, having things like online banking, being able to make payments, being able to do forex payments, to send money abroad, being able to do trade finance, to buy stock, to purchase things like gold. There's so many options for people. What we want to be able to get to is, we want to get to a point where the Sharia-compliant solutions are holistic and can kind of compete with the conventional solutions. And everything that's offered on the conventional side should be then offered on the Sharia-compliant side. So that's what we're hoping. That's where we want to get to. And what we also realize is that, and this is why we do these podcasts, is because we want to encourage more of the community who wants these types of solutions to go out there and say to the bankers and to the banks, or the financial institutions that they do business with, to say, we are looking for these solutions. We need these solutions. We require these solutions. There is a need for it. Please go out and develop it, because they have already been developed in other countries. Make them available to us.
Yeah, it is an interesting one, and that was quite a thoughtful answer from you, Ali. There's quite a number of questions that I still have here, but I don't think the time will allow me to unpack or relay any of these questions that I have here. But look, I think that will set us up for other podcasts. We'll need to get you guys back in here to go through the rest of the questions. But for the viewers out there that would want to maybe tap into a bit more detail, is there a platform, other offerings that you have where they can read up or look into some of the questions that we've just gone through?
Yeah, shukran, Shamim. I think just as closing comments, as a Muslim and from a South African perspective, if you look at the data, it says we are a minority. We're about 5% of the population, and we are really fortunate in the sense that we can practice our religion freely. If you've seen our developments from masajid to madaris, and now from a financial aspect as well, Islamic institutions offering financial services and products to our community. We were quite fortunate that we have this. Looking back maybe 10, 20 years ago, we didn't have the same products and services that we have today. So there's been quite a lot of progress made within the Islamic banking and finance industry. So we do encourage people to look into it, to read more about it, to understand the differences between an Islamic banking product and the conventional, and what our religion speaks about, and the importance of it. And I think one of the things that we've come up with is our website. It's www.muslimfin.com. And we encourage our viewers to check it out. What you'll find on there are articles covering Islamic banking and investments, wills and trust accounts, sadaqah, and all these different topics within Islamic banking and finance. And they can learn more. They can reach out to us, on our website if they have any questions as well. But we also have our social media platforms. So please follow us on Facebook. We've got a MuslimFin Facebook account. We are on TikTok as well, and YouTube. So check us out, like and subscribe, and we hope to see you soon for our next podcast.
Shukran so much for you guys. And again, look, if there's any other questions that any of the viewers feel that you'd like us to tackle, please comment below. If you feel that this podcast was useful, please forward it to friends and family. From us at the MuslimFin team, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week or in our next podcast. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.